is a quote from the U.S. EPA, which is dated back in 1996. And this was their efforts back in 1996. And we have to ask ourselves, if this is what their plan was in 1996, what has happened in the last intervening 15 years? Have we really moved forward to meet these goals and objectives? Are we more streamlined? Are we more cost-objective? Are the implementation of our control programs really working? And are we taking advantage of the control technologies that are out there? So while this isn't a very lofty goal, what we've seen is that the way that they have done control hasn't really changed. It's still command and control. It's still single pollutant. It's still single facility. And there's been many, many efforts that have been put forth, legislation both by the EPA and by the U.S. Congress. And what it typically looks at is a certain industry group, for example, power plants or, let's say, a cement plant or a refinery. They haven't really tried to impose this or tried to implement this across the board amongst various different industry sectors. So I'd like to talk about that a little bit and why it's important to move forward with not just technology but also air quality management systems. And when that does move forward, how it might be to the advantage of everyone, that we can actually have better air quality without spending any additional resources. I'm going to do this snap up here for a minute, and because we have an hour, and it's Friday afternoon, I know everyone gets a little tired by Friday afternoon, I know I do. So we're going to ask for some audience participation today, and it's always helpful for me to know who I'm speaking to. So I'm going to ask all of you to please stand up. Okay, and I'd like to start by asking all of those in the audience who either doesn't have a 4-year degree or has a 4-year degree in engineering, if you would please all sit down. Does not have a 4-year degree, or if you're 4-year degree or you have a degree and it's in engineering.
It's in engineering.
It's in engineering, you get to sit down. Okay. I didn't want to embarrass them if they didn't have a 4-year degree, so I thought I'd let them sit down with the majority of the group that got to sit down first, too. Then, those of you who remain standing, if your degree is in some type of science, like physics, chemistry, biology, natural sciences, or life sciences, why don't you guys go ahead and sit down? That's about what I expected. Those of you who remain standing, please go ahead and sit down. Now, I'd like for you guys to think about what we just saw in this room. How about if we did that same exercise with your legislative body? We asked them all to stand up, and we asked all the engineers to sit down. Do you think we'd have the same number of people standing at the end of that exercise as we had here with this audience? No. So here we have the disconnect. We have the technologists who are working very hard, coming up with great technologies for controls and programs, and then we have the legislative branch who actually puts the air quality program rules and requirements together. And there has to be a bridge. There has to be the bridge between the two. So for today, I'm just asking you to maybe take a step back from our science engineering approach and take a look at the program approach or the air quality management system approach and try as hard as we can to maybe see how we can maybe bridge those two gaps. I'd like to tell you a real life story, something that happened in the United States over the last 10 years, let's say, that was kind of a dynamic think shift for the United States and how they regulate and how they control air emissions. This map is 2005. Where my pointer here? Yes, it's May 2005. And what this shows is the particulate matter, 10 microns in diameter and smaller. We just saw the World Health Organization came out with a list of cities and where they stand. And this is an indication of all the areas in the western United States that were not attaining that standard. The darker the color, the more severe they were in their out-of-attainment situation. So if it's lightly colored, they're out of attainment, but it's not too serious. This nice bright orange color is the areas that are out of attainment, and it's fairly serious. What happens here in Wallula is there's one pulp and paper mill that was impacting a monitor. Once they took care of that pulp and paper mill, they were in attainment. Reno's situation, this is one county in that particular state. They had to use sand to cover the ice and snow in the wintertime, and then after the ice and snow went away, they had all the sand on the roads and caused big plumes of PM10 in the winter. So when they stopped sanding the roads for ice and snow and used other measures, then their non-attainment situation went away. This is the San Joaquin Valley in California, the largest crop producer in the United States. This is the Owens Valley, which has a dry lake bed, which is the cause of their problem. But all of these other counties down through here, this is where Phoenix, Arizona is, in Maricopa County, Las Vegas, Nevada, in Clark County. Imperial Valley is the agricultural valley as well. They are mostly desert, dry areas. Average rainfall is less than 10 inches a year. I realize we just had 10 inches here today, but they only get 10 inches a year. And so, all of these areas were required to give the US EPA a plan how they were going to attain the PM10 standard. They all had active regulations already in place. They were already regulating construction. They were already regulating stationary sources, vacant lands. They had huge programs in place, yet none of them were attaining the standard. This is a pie chart that shows the emissions for the Clark County, Nevada, Las Vegas area. And as you can see, this is an annual pie chart. 23% of the emissions of PM10 were coming from construction sites. At this time, Clark County, Nevada was the fastest growing city in the United States. This pie chart is from 1998. It continued to be the fastest growing city in the United States through 2007. They began to take a more serious look at putting together their plan and making changes in what they were doing